Your mom, your mom, your mom. Ooh. Doki Doki Your Mom is quite an interesting game. It disguises itself as a cute, innocent high school dating sim when it's actually a psychological horror game dealing with very serious subject matter. For me, playing this game was an amazing experience. The story was interesting for what it was. It used very different styles of gameplay, like having to directly tamper with the files, but most importantly, it wasn't afraid to be too deep. The game went as dark as it wanted to go, and I enjoyed that. One area where it falls short, however, is the lack of almost any replay value. When first going through the game, it's an amazing experience. It's awesome. But after you go through the story, there's no reason to go back to it. You can make different choices throughout your next playthrough and have a slightly different experience that way, but the story is so linear, your choices don't really matter. Sayori still dies regardless if you confessed or friend-zoned her. Monika still makes Yuri go sicko mode. You still have to delete Monika's file and restart the game without her in it, and Monika still destroys the world of the game. It also doesn't help that you don't really play the game at all either, you're just bashing the mouse button 90% of the time. Shut up! I know this, I don't care, shut up! You may have a good game to start with, but if there's no incentive to keep playing after beating it, most people will forget about it very quickly. It's one of the reasons games like Minecraft and Rust have strong, loyal fan bases years after the game's release. However, Minecraft and Rust are sandbox games that are almost entirely built around the gameplay itself. There's no focused story when playing. Doki Doki Literature Club is trying to tell a specific story, so perhaps it wouldn't be fair to compare it to these games. In that case, let's look at FNAF, which is trying to tell a specific story. FNAF has a few things differently. For one, you're usually given a custom night, which encourages the player to beat the game as difficult as you can get it. This does give players more incentive to go back and play on a harder difficulty, but there's nothing after that. FNAF also has many Easter eggs which contain pieces of lore that the community uses to find out the story. That's another thing FNAF does well. They don't tell you the story up front. They make the players put it together themselves, which makes people go back to find all the Easter eggs, and Doki Doki Literature Club does this too. However, once everything is uncovered, that's the end of the road. FNAF ends up in the same situation as Doki Doki for the same reasons. Sure, there may be more content to work with, but it only adds on to what's already there, and delays the inevitable, which is why they have to supplement it with constant sequels, prequels, etc. It works as a series of games, but the games themselves don't stand on their own. What we need is a game that is genuinely fun to play, while never giving the same experience twice. Think about all the games you invested your max amount of hours in. What kept you hooked on them? They gave you an infinite amount of possibilities for what could happen. This is usually achieved by multiplayer. This works so well because when putting the players up against each other, it can be predicted, like with AI, and creates a fun sense of challenge, community, mystery, and sometimes competition. It's the same reason people go back to sports like football. Sandbox games are especially good at creating replay value because they give the player complete control of the experience. Rather than being given a specific game mode to play, they create their own way to play the game, bringing essentially an infinite amount of games within a game. How can we apply either of these to Doki Doki and FNAF? Let's talk about it in the comments. And on the topic of my channel, most of my videos are on a game called Yandere Simulator, and that's where most of my views come from. For a while now, my only well-performed videos come from my videos on this game, but that prevents me from making more vids on other games like this one. If you want to see more videos of me analyzing other games, subscribing would be the best way of getting me out of that trap.